Hi everyone, it's Miss Curran again. Okay, we are going to talk about page 7 and 8 of the social studies packet. I cut them out and made them into a booklet. You do not need to do this. You could just follow along as we read. Ted's Big Day of Rights and Responsibilities. There will be a back section in which we will fill in together after we read. Ted's Big Day of Rights and Responsibilities. Ring 10. Ted bolted up in bed. His eyes shot to the clock. Oh no, late again. Shoving the covers aside, he raced for the shower, pulled on the first shirt and jeans he could find, and thundered downstairs for a quick bowl of sugar cereal Grandma had bought him. Just this once. Chocolate Crispos, the box said. He wolfed down the cereal and washed his bowl and spoon the way Grandma expected. Halfway out the door, he remembered to grab his model rocket. Today, after school, he would finally test it out at the park. Heading out the door, Ted jogged down the steps and onto the city sidewalk. He practically ran the 4 blocks north to Freedom Middle School, but some things were too important to skip, so he stopped for 30 seconds to buy his usual candy bar. It cost 85 cents. But with sales tax, it came to 93 cents, practically a whole dollar. The school day started out fine, but things got a little crazy at lunch when some kids started a food fight in the cafeteria. A peanut butter sandwich hit him in the head and left a nasty glob in his hair. Ted wasn't about to get involved, and he sure wasn't going to go hungry, so he wiped it off his napkin and finished eating. After school, the model rocket had to wait because Ted forgot there was a home basketball game. He watched the game for a while with some friends, but skipped out after the home team surged 40 points ahead of the visitors. It wasn't much of a thrill when you knew who was going to win. Okay, we're on the next page. By the time Ted got to the park, he was really thirsty. While slurping water from the fountain, he noticed the sign posted above the drinking fountain, Park Rules. The writing was tiny, but it was a good thing he read it. There was a $100 fine for shooting off model rockets at the park. At this rate, his model rocket would never see the sky. Bummed and keeping his rocket safely out of sight in his backpack, Ted wandered around the park looking for something to do. Some weird guy sitting under the tree asked Ted if he wanted to start a war against the United States. Just as Ted was telling him no thanks, a big commotion started on the other side of the park. A huge crowd of people was coming down the street holding signs. He left the guy under the tree and went to check the crowd. Tell the president votes for kids, one side read. They may be young, but they're not dumb, the crowd chanted. A kid who looked about 16 pointed right at Ted. Hey you, he shouted. What do you think? Should kids have the right to vote? Ted thought for a second. Why not? Come on, another kid called, grabbed a sign, and joined us. Speaking his mind may not have been quite as fun as shooting off model rockets, but it was pretty close. By the time he finally got home, Grandma only scolded him a little for being late. May I still watch my hour of TV? Ted asked. Well, all right, she said, but only 1 hour. Okay, Grandma. Ted flipped on the cartoons, checked the clock, and settled in to relax after his busy day. Okay, now we're going to flip to the last page where we will fill in some information about the story we read. Okay, so you will see a T-chart at the top. The first column reads, what rights and responsibilities did Ted exercise in his role? Okay, and we have a bunch of different categories up top. And then we have a second column says, this action is, so after we identify the right or responsibility, we will then check to identify if it's a right or responsibility. Okay, so we have 2 blank boxes for U.S. citizen. Okay, so there was 2 things that was talked about in the article that we can identify whether it's a right or responsibility. The first one is he did not commit treason. Okay, so when the other boy in the park asked him if he wanted to start a war against the United States. To go against your own country would be committing treason. Okay? And then he also exercised his freedom of speech. Okay, so we're going to write both of those in the first column, and then we are going to identify if it's a right or responsibility. Not to commit treason is a responsibility of every U.S. citizen. Okay, to not go against their country. Exercising your freedom of speech is actually a right everyone is granted. So I will hold it up so you could fill in that information. The next part we will talk about is his right or responsibility as a state citizen, so the state that he lives within. He receives public education, and he paid state sales tax when he bought his candy bar. So receiving free public education is a right that states afford to its citizens. And then to pay sales tax is a responsibility everyone has within their state. So I will hold up this second section for you to copy. The next section we will talk about is his rights and responsibilities discussed about him being a city citizen. So within a city, there are sidewalks for people to walk on. The next thing they talk about is him following the park rules. He wanted to shoot off his model rocket, but after he saw the sign saying there is a fine if you shoot off a model rocket, so he followed the park rules by not shooting it off. Okay, so walking on sidewalks is a right that not everyone has. We discussed earlier, if you do not live in a city, not all parts of the United States have sidewalks for you to walk on, so that's a right that he has. But it is his responsibility to follow park rules if he wants to use the park. So I will hold that up for you to copy. Once again, you could pause at any point if you copy at a slower pace than I am talking. All right, the final two sections, his rights or responsibility as a school citizen. He did not participate in the food fight. If you remember, there was a food fight that was started, okay? Or the fact that he even ate in the lunchroom. And then after school, he attended a basketball game, okay? So him not participating in a food fight is his responsibility as a state citizen, and him being able to attend an after-school event is a right. The last section we will talk about is his rights or responsibility discussed in the article of him being a citizen of his own house, his own household. Okay? So the fact that he watched TV, that he was able to watch TV, and that he was asked to wash the dishes. Okay? So him being able to watch TV is a right. And then him having to wash dishes is a responsibility within his own household. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or need any more support completing that packet, so page 7 and 8 of the social studies packet, please reach out. Thank you.